think it's just a reiteration of, or it's maybe it's not a reiteration because but this reminds me of all those people who are Muslims now who have the book right in front of them and they're saying, no, this isn't it, or you can't interpret it that way, or they interpret it rather than taking
That's
what
right.
is given to them. And they're deserving it, what they get.
Or concealing or distorting or making any changes.
What is
Those who repent and reform and clarify.
The Umrah is pilgrimage and other than the specific time of Hajj. Umrah is exactly the same as Hajj, except it's in another time.
any time
Any time of the year. The Hajj has to be on the 9th and 10th days of the 12th month. 9, 10, 11, 12, or month number 12.
Month number 12, our time.
On the 9th day, you have to be standing on Arafat.
The ninth of
Arabic
this
count.
month?
Lunar
Okay.
month. So Umrah is doing Hajj at any other time, outside of that.
For those who repent and reform, I'm wondering if that refers to people in the money before, that if they change, they'll see what they're supposed to, or what they've been allowed to see now. And clarify, perhaps clarify, make up for their mistakes by making it clear to others, not just themselves, but,
Will uncover what they were concealing.
okay. So it does show us that there's hope for this.
Always. Everybody.
Those who believe that God is believers deserve the curse of God. And I see the curse as two things. It's the fact that they were, with the veil was kept from their eyes, and they were, in a sense, forced to be disbelievers. And they're going to get what they deserve for having deserved that position in the first place.
In other words, we're told that for as long as the person is alive, there's hope. But once they die as disbelievers, they're finished. They're condemned, and they deserve the curse. In fact, the angels beat them up at the time of their death. They're being paid. You think it's the pain of death, but it's really pain of being beaten up. And I'm not sure if they realize it or not. But they're being slapped in the face and kicked in the butt.
Do you think altogether, in my mind, there's another kind of pain, and it's like, well, I'm alive as a human being, and if I've talked about this with you before, if I find myself away from religion and praying, even before being here, it's like, I get this incredible lonely feeling, and I know that I want to be with God. And I would assume that the people who are alive now and aren't following the practices don't have that sense. But is there a possibility once they've died and they're not in, that they're in hell, do you think they realize the loss of everything?
No, once the people die, that's it. This is over.
So Michelle, you said that the angels beat them up in this thing that they can, like say somebody can get shot in the head or whatever, and say they might go through a pain, but that pain that this disbeliever go through is the angels beat them, whereas
The
a believer, right, the disbeliever, I'm sorry. But as a believer, if he was to get shot or something, it was just that he was shot and he'd probably be disgusting to the person who see it or did it, but no pain, they just. So that's what he be talking about, sieging the song gently.
Right. They probably don't get shot.
Yeah.
I can guess very well that the believers died very peacefully in their sleep or something. Very nice. Because God says they are gently, their souls are taken gently. It's a gentle transformation.
There are martyrs, right? People die in battle and somebody who died.
Right.
So maybe even while we think about that outwardly, it's certainly not in it.
Right.
Yeah. Somehow Well, the Martyrs, I mean, he's in war, I mean, he's in fighting. That's, he knows what he's in for. And he's pleased when he's stabbed or whatever. But God makes it easy for them.
So could that be like a double type of thing when you ask, Allah to let you deserve out and an illness going?
Say it again.
The one when you honor me a good death and honor me,
Oh, I see, yes. I mean, a good entrance and a good exit.
Yes, honor
Good
me.
exit.
Right.
Well, a good exit means exit as a believer.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it means.
But the two couldn't match up the same.
Yeah,
Because
could be, yeah.
If you ask them
Yes,
for a
could,
good exit, then you ask them to remain a believer or something.
yes, that could mean the same. The business of martyrs, by the way, is there was an age where the people were to be proven believers by actually going in battle. But now we're in an age where the whole thing is mental. I mean, there's no way you can go and fight Russia, for example, to make them Muslim. So you have to embed them mentally.
The whole business of fighting is strictly against people that are trying to stop it from the religion anyways.
Right, that too.
I wonder if we could have 163, people do that to us in the Arabic, just because the translation's a little different. What we always say is like your God is your God. That's not how we say it in Arabic. It's not translated your God.
Yeah, ilahukum. It says ilahukum is your God. Ilahum wahid. Your God is one God. La ilaha illa hu. There is no God except He. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. The gracious, the merciful.
I just think it's just a little bit different. It just means something the case. And they translate it like Allah who as opposed to Allah.
Yeah, well, it depends on, it's a grammar thing. But it says ilahukum ilahun wahid. La ilaha illa hu. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. Okay, we better quit now so we can celebrate Rahima's birthday. And Sammy, his friends are celebrating his birthday, so he was going to come, but I told him, better stay with your friends.
There is one more.
Are there any questions before we quit?
74.
Yeah.
There's two in Surah, but there's
Going back to that Martyr.
No,
It says we died upholding the Quran alone against those who want to follow other than Quran.
because there's 370.
That's
Not national debt?
no, it's
There is one wherein I quoted in mine. It says that
How does it die?
it's not that I made a mistake.
Oh, well,
Where
it's
God
about
says, my favor to you has been Azim, Fadl Azim, and Ayushim. And I wanted to put in your notes.
Okay, that's it.
That is the same as this, 2151.
Yeah. Well, if they keep
Because it has this scripture in
they
it.
had no idea. Died because of that.
Anyhow,
This makes up for
no, I made a mistake. It is not where that is found. Just now, it's where
Is
God
everybody
says,
ready?
my favor, my father to you has been
Let's read
Azim,
Al-Fatiha.
and it
Everybody
consists
ready?
of
Al-Fatiha.
this.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. We're going to pray in the morning at 6 o'clock, and when you people get up in the morning and come here to make dhikr at 6 o'clock, there is joy and celebration in heaven.
Yeah.
The angels are all excited, and you receive the
Yeah.
rewards.
Because I wanted to put it,
And you passed
I
the
wanted to put it
CAT
in there with you.
flying colors.
Because when the messenger is given scripture and wisdom and knowledge what was not known. This was an instance of the Fadl al-Azim on the Prophet. And I wanted to write it on your book. But I don't have it. It's not one of these. It doesn't say Zul Fadl al-Azim. It just say Fadl al-Azim.
Some of these verses are like that, though, like copies. See, I just mixed them up here. I didn't separate them.
But it will be in the pamphlet.
Okay. I'll check that.
What I'm doing now is I'm having this in one of my books. But very careful, not like this now.
Yeah.
Because then you will not know what this is, and this is on so. Unless you have a clue. Yeah.
See, I need to, I've got notes in so many of my phones. Now I need to bring them all together just to get one Quran with good margins.
What I'm doing now is all of my notes that are separated, I'm putting them in one Quran, and then I destroy them. So I will not have, so I know it's already settled. It is taken, it's going to take
Yeah, but
months.
don't you need a second copy in case you lose?
Lose my Quran? Well,
Inshallah.
that's already Allah's will. Because I want to give it to him. I'll tell you the meaning of what I'm doing when you come home. Yeah.
If this was you,
Me.
standing directly on top of the North Pole, there would be no question which is a straight line to America.
Because you just choose this.
You choose the
Like that.
latitude.
This one, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Alright.
So
This one,
yeah. So this is a straight line.
Yeah.
That's clear that if you walk straight down here,
Yeah.
you'd get to the South Pole, which is directly beneath you, and back again towards where you
It's
are.
not really a straight line, it's a curve.
Yeah, it's a curved line, but your perception. So, if this was where you stand, right here,
Yeah.
and if you draw those radiating lines, you still have the southeast, south,
Yeah.
north-south lines, but then your east and west lines doesn't follow these anymore, because your east and west lines is actually going like this. Your straight line east. And if you walk that, you get back to your
It completes it, so
yeah.
it completes.
So that all those lines connected is plane with the center of the Earth point is also part of that plane. So then, yeah, if you observe this as if this was overhead, like the north-south or the North Pole, the radiating lines would be, they'd have your east-south, north-south, then your east, west. Already you know it's not following these lines. It's just,
Yeah,
it's
all
very
right.
hard to perceive.
So, what are we doing?
If you were not facing the earth,
Yeah.
not actually facing nothing, facing away from.
That's it home. You see what? You see, this is that's why the compass prevents you from that.
Yeah, the problem is.
Yeah, we're gonna
This is you keep this before.
come on.
You get,
Yeah.
I mean, if we're facing the east now, we're not actually facing like in terms of straight line.
That's why we have to build slightly more. That's why our compass builds it slightly more.
Just I asked you, Stash. So if you walk directly east,
You get this in other words, you talk to Carl, and you decide both of you. You what it says?
No, I wasn't following closely.
if you walk directly east, I asked you, Stash. If you walk directly east, that would be a straight line to us, even though because we don't perceive the curvature of the earth. And we walk a straight line, eventually we would get back to the same point. A straight line to us east is not actually following these points, which is longitude.
We discussed it after.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a
So
problem.
there's Tucson and there's the line. Now, if you put them in the real positions, the line is just like yourself.
lines projecting from anywhere on Earth, just like the North Pole.
Right.
It's these lines which cut the Earth in half. You see, this is what we'd consider a straight line, where you'd walk and eventually get back to the place where you began.
So here it's easy. Here it's easy. You just go like that.
Yeah. Because here it's visual. You know, we can.
Yeah, but I mean, you put, a visual location of this, because even the Earth being egg-shaped is not this perfect sphere.
Yeah, but still, it's not that much distorted.
No, but those lines are put on the Earth by, they used astronomical measurements in order to locate those lines.
To locate where you are on those,
Yeah,
in relation to those
the
lines.
most accurate way to locate is not from the surface or a compass, but from astronomical.
Yes. But then these lines are already drawn.
Yeah, okay.
This you can find out by time,
Right.
in relation to your Greenwich time. And this in relation to the stars.
The projection here is a model.
Yeah.
But I think if you were using them really, they might, on a real Earth, they wouldn't be quite as straight as they look here.
Well, see, it's slightly flattened because of the rotation of the Earth, right? But the distortion isn't that drastic.
Yeah.
The point that I was raising is, because I asked you, Stash, so if we walk straight east, we'd hit Mecca.
Well, not entirely straight, just slightly south. Well, no, I mean, the distance is so great that it's only about a half a degree.
Yeah, well, even that, see. The point that I was raising is, if you were standing here directly on the north, on the axis, right, you would have no question where to face, right?
No.
Because you'd just be following these lines, which is one longitude, or is that latitude?
That's long.
Longitude, yeah. So, actually, no matter where you're standing on Earth, these lines, you can actually have them where you're standing, which would represent the straight lines to you. So,
Suppose you're like this now.
yeah.
You are
If I was standing,
very shy. Yeah.
okay, we're
So
standing
it will now
here,
be.
you'll still have,
Do you remember the Friday?
you'll still have this line that goes north-south, which still cuts the Earth in half, which would be one of your straight lines. Then, to cut that to half would be your east and west, which would be like this,
Yeah.
right? So if you walk directly east, you'd be going like this.
There you go.
Because when you're facing east, you're facing this way. That's the direction that you'd be walking if you walk directly east. If you walk in a straight line, that was possible, without veering right or left. Try to visualize it as if this was a North Pole.
When they go for entertainment, they rush street and
But I would still have to stay because my bearings would still be like the sun or something.
If you were to walk this way, say if you were to walk like
Here.
this,
If I followed this straight east,
that's because you're thinking in terms. You're thinking in terms of these lines here.
yeah.
These are very imaginary lines.
All right.
For that to be a straight line to you, you'd have to be standing this way.
But
You're not.
So where am I standing?
Well, you'd be standing like this, facing the center of the Earth. Because that's the center of gravity. Because if you were standing like this, you'd be like this, see? Closer to you. Can you visualize, a pin standing
Yeah.
like this? Just like this.
But if you're going to keep it perpendicular to the, that's what you're talking about, it being perpendicular to the surface of the curved surface, right? You know, if it stays upright, I still don't see any problem. As long as it's going east.
Yeah, but you'd be walking.
But I don't think there's no slant to it.
See, again, if, for instance, you're standing here, and this was north and this was south, then this would be east and west, right?
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Your east and west is not like this. If, for instance, if you're standing here, you see, east and west would be like this.
Well, the angle here is going to keep changing because it stays perpendicular to the, so there would be between this perpendicular line and that one. If you cut that straight through or the curve, then there would be an angle.
Break the discussion. Let's break the discussion.
Right. There would be an angle between this and that.
No, but see, there's no question about this being a straight line. Certainly there can be drawn a line connected from your north and your south, right? And it would cross where you're standing.
Good one?
Yeah, you can do it.
Oh, we made them? Thank you.
If you could draw lines on this globe, you'd be able to.
You know. All right.
That's just my belt.
You got this?
No, I need red one.
This one? I guess.
You see, the radius of the circle that you draw would have to be
We made it.
it would have to be the center of the earth, the center of gravity. I really feel.
You have some of this?
Yeah, I had a.
You have this? Anybody who didn't have any of
You mean the idea of sticking that pin all the way through? Or are you talking about the center of the earth?
The center of the earth is the radius of all straight lines, at the apparent straight lines. Like the radius of this circle, that's what we call that a straight line, right? The radius of it is the center of the earth. Like when a satellite circles the earth, it can be circling any which way. It can be circling like this, it can be circling like this. It doesn't have to follow this. If it would try to circle this way, it certainly wouldn't circle the earth. It would just sort of fly away. So it would have to have the radius being the center of gravity. And that's the way we walk, around the center of gravity.
A satellite couldn't just circle around up here. It would have to. It's as if there was some kind of a rod between the very
Yeah,
center of the Earth
yeah,
and the
exactly.
satellite.
Like a string, you know, when you go like this with a bucket. You could twirl it like this, or you could twirl it like that.
So what you're saying is, you know, if we had a water attached to us on the surface, that's why you're talking about it.
Yeah, we'd be standing like this. Because we're drawn, you know, if we draw a line from the tip of our head to the tip of our feet, it would hit the center of gravity.
But it seems that there's something else going on, though, because we don't walk like that on the surface of the Earth, because we are. I mean, basically, we're sticking to that.
To what?
We're sticking to the Earth.
Yeah. Yeah, it was as if there was a string tied to our feet, and was somebody in the center of the Earth is twirling us around if we were to walk straight. Can you imagine that? As if there was
Well, I'm wondering if that has to be so, whether, you know, the center of the Earth or merely the surface of the Earth.
No, it's a center. It's a center of the Earth, the center of gravity. Because all this curvature is encasing. It's like it's a whole bunch of circles with one radius, and that's what makes the sphere. So that, you know, if this was the curve, certainly the radius would be something like this.
Yeah.
Right? We wouldn't be standing like this. It would be like if you had your radius in your circle, and we'd be standing in such a way that you can draw lines like this from your radius, right? And you'd be standing in the way that it goes perpendicular to the surface.
You would always be perpendicular.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So there wouldn't be what you're talking about.
Yeah, you cannot. We don't stand this way or this way. Without saying.
So, being perpendicular there, and in Mecca. But what you're saying, you're suggesting that we couldn't be.
See, there's only one circle like this that can intersect where we stand, Tucson and Mecca, right?
Right.
And the radius of that circle is the center of the Earth. The radius of all these, not the latitude, the longitude. There's all of these degrees are circles actually. Because all of them have one.
Possibly. I mean, because in this act, you know, if this point is a focal point, it's not the center of the Earth acting as the focal point. So we're dealing with a different concept. I mean, it's not the physical position of our bodies.
Well, it has a great deal to do with our perception. If we were standing this way, for instance, a straight line to us would be like this. You know, but we'd be sort of
arrive at the same point.
No. That'd be kind of hard because you have to have a surface to be able to determine, you know, what to be walking in a straight line. Because if you were standing this way, your surface would be this way. And if that was a curve, you'd actually be going this way. If somebody's standing straight, that's a curve. You guys standing this way, that's a straight line. don't know if I can make myself.
Well,
Because I've thought about this long time ago when I was trying to determine.
but what you're suggesting is that you'd never hit Mecca by walking that way if you kept the Earth as your center. I mean, if you kept the center of the Earth as your pivot,
Yeah.
you're suggesting you could never actually hit Mecca by walking on that east.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because my so when the sun goes 15 degrees up, an hour is past. Then you can find this out. The thing is, this is a convention that was signed by sailors, which
Yeah, but it would follow, the Quranic injunction that you use the stars and the things in the sky to guide you on Earth to find your way on.
but the Arabs could also do that with their what they call
Yeah, that's
an
a total-
astrolabe. Yeah.
That's just to tell the angles, and then you figure out.
You can tell where you are in a globe like this in relation to these given lines.
A compass doesn't tell you. I mean, a compass is only a general tool because it is subject to so many distortions.
Yeah.
Over a short distance, you can use it as a fairly accurate guide. You've got a map, your coordinates.
Yeah, a compass. You don't only find out.
If somebody standing up in Michigan, Iron Country, this compass ain't worth a damn. It doesn't tell them anything. It's just wild by the amount of metal that's in the soil.
Yeah.
You have lower
But theoretically, if your compass was perfect, I was able to point directly here to the true north. Then you'd be able to determine it by experience. People who travel in that straight line sort of thing. They'd be able to say, like, if you were in this point, that this place would be at a certain degree. Because the compass is actually like this. Because if you were standing here and this was your North Pole, this was your South Pole, this was your East, this was your West, your compass would be going like this, and certainly that across that would be your West and East. You can do the same.
Well, you can always do that with shadows.
Yeah.
So what's your conclusion?
If you're pivoting on a point that's, if you had a wire attached from you to the center of the Earth, which you can pivot.
Madam, happy birthday.
You're being on the surface of the Earth, perpendicular to the surface, which you wouldn't be anyways, because you would be slanting as you go north or south anyways.
You'd be going like this. You'd constantly be perpendicular to the surface of the Earth.
Yeah, but your pivot would not be.
Wait a minute.
Because if you had to think of a wire, it's supposed to point right in the very center of the globe. Pivot, you've got a wire coming out from that. Now,
You constantly.
yeah, you're right. The perpendicular to the curved surface.
Yeah. It's not. You can't say it's perpendicular because it's a curve. But we perceive it.
But if we move that, if we simply move that, I don't see then how you would ever be on a slanting like you're saying as long as the surface is curved, because it compensates.
No, you'd never be at a slant.
So there you are, perpendicular to the surface.
Yeah.
Pivoting on the center, aiming on the line that goes to Mecca. Now,
You won't. Why would you? Oh yeah. You want to find the line that goes to Mecca. Right?
Now that, you could still, that line that goes to Mecca would cut across those north-south ones. Now you're pivoting from the center. It doesn't require you following those latitude and longitudes either. You can still cut across them ones.
Yeah, but then you'd be walking at what we would consider a curved line. At what we
On a
perceive as
different curved line than these. Because you
different from these drawn lines. You understand exactly what I mean when I say that this is a straight line, right?
Yeah.
We can draw exactly the same lines from any point on the Earth.
Okay. So let's assume this is Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
And all these lines are arbitrarily.
Yeah.
So let's take this is our line, and let's put Mecca in Upper Vulcan.
We'd be facing this way.
But okay, let's say instead of putting it directly on that line, let's put it over Nigeria, so we have to change the direction a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can still draw a
Yeah.
straight line there.
Yeah. Exactly. There are an infinite number of lines that you can draw there.
So the same thing there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't relate to the rotation of the Earth.
No.
See, that's the problem.
Now these lines are drawn in relation to the rotational field.
Yeah, because it's based from the axis.
Yeah.
This is the point about which the entire Earth spins.
So what's your conclusion, Chief? How do we pray? We use the
Well,
compass?
you see,
Or it makes no difference?
I'm not sure what we're supposed to do. Are we supposed to face in the direction that we consider a straight line?
Jamaica, we're supposed to pray.
We should then, in that case, if that's what we're supposed to do, we should be facing slightly north of east.
The compass.
Yeah, because when we're facing north, east and west, we're not facing these lines. We're going like this. We're facing this.
We're not facing that. We're going.
Yeah.
No, but we are compensating because we are slightly north of Mecca already, so we have to face slightly south.
Yeah,
But it's only about a half a degree at the most. It's so
But
negative.
that is
Your
in
body
relation
doesn't tell you.
to north and south. But suppose you're looking just at distances.
If these lines, if these things weren't drawn, you wouldn't be saying that we're north or south.
Yeah, because to speak of north south is the term of what is arbitrary. Yes, you say it's north and south. But if you just look at distance, in other words, we can flatten
But
the compass tries to find the shortest distance. Is that right?
no.
No, not the compass, not the shortest distance.
The compass is only pointing at the magnetic pole. That's all it's doing.
Yeah, but those are from people who can determine through mathematics.
Well, those little maps, those little booklets that come with the compass from Mecca and everything, they give angles that are based on those short distances. They're like the planes flies, but they're very inaccurate.
Yeah, well,
Because,
they're
they may
inconsistent.
not compensate for magnetic inclination at all these points.
Yeah.
You notice that watch that we have does not point the same as the compass. The watch goes very much to the north.
Because I had a friend that had one of those, and hers had a book that gave all these different points across the U.S. with an angle that's based on that compass. But for all of Mexico, it gave only one.
Now, I have a question. Suppose we are here, what do? We try to look here, right? Is there no way of looking through here?
Yeah,
It's a longer way, but doesn't make any difference.
we're still looking at Mexico.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably, in that sense, it might be a convention. That's probably a convention.
That's the shortest distance was used. But in any case, I don't see why the people of Tucson, to look at Mecca, will have to look east. Why do they not look west across Asia?
Because they don't come from the Philippines.
Yeah. But we look west, we're in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So we're using shortest distance.
Right.
But at the same time, isn't it the same?
Well, I guess, God planned it by making that big ocean so damn big. Trying to keep all
But if we follow Riemannian geometry, the whole line quiz, wherever you look, eventually, you look at Mekan. Yeah, according to Riemannian, because lines are infinite anyhow.
they just keep wrapping it
Yeah.
around.
Let's go, Chief. I'm very tired. Today has been a hard day for me. I don't know what to say. You know, we went to... As far as he's permanent here only since...
May I beg?
Pardon?
May I beg?
Yeah, you can beg anything you want.
Don't call on me tonight. Maybe you should. I'm so tired and I'm so hungry and I just feel I want to listen to all this wonderful stuff that you're going to tell me.
Oh, good. Usually,
As soon as you say don't call on me, the first person to get called on is you. If I have any insight, though, I will.
okay. I hope so. Because, God inspires all of us through the input. This is the benefit of a group. Because here we have like 20 brains thinking of the same verse. Otherwise, we'll sit home and read the Quran by ourselves. But it will not be as productive. Well, I'm going to mention two things before we start. First is we'll start our Arabic lessons tomorrow after Zikr. And we have the best Arabic language lessons here. In 2 weeks, we're going to have people reading the Quran in Arabic. In 2 weeks. You do your homework. Yeah.
When I left, I thought, I'm going to come and ask Rashad to give me a word that has about, a few of these in it, and I'll learn them by getting individual words. And I didn't ask a question because you're offering a class tomorrow.
In fact, I'm going to give you your homework right now. From between Saturday, between Saturday and next Saturday, all you should do is memorize the alphabet, familiarize yourself with the alphabet. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to give you the Arabic alphabet and the equivalent, and the Arabic alphabet, and they are different at the beginning of the word, the middle, and the end. Now, the reason we're starting the Arabic language again is I found it very useful in comparing translations and in pinning down certain words where words are crucial in the translation. The second thing I wanted to say is at the end of khutbah this afternoon, I mentioned that they printed 1 million copies of the summary of the computer results, and another place they printed 1 million copies, and I didn't mean to make it all praise like this because I received also a new cussing word for me that comes from I think Indians. You know how polite the Indians are. So now the new bad name that I received in the mail was a deviated luminary.
Sounds like you better have an opportunity.
I just forgot to mention it in the khutbah. A new pair of glasses? Oh, I see.
All the medical terms are in Latin.
Yeah, I only have the luminaries right here.
No, what you need is bifocal.
These are deviated again. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. We're at 164, page 17. The subtitle is Overwhelming Signs of God. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of night and day, the ships that roam the sea for the benefit of mankind, the water that God sends down to revive dead lands and spread all kinds of creatures therein, the manipulation of the winds, the clouds placed between the heaven and the earth. All these are signs for people who understand. I think we can stay in this verse for hours, just to think about the overwhelming signs of God. The creation of the heavens and the earth. If you just think of how God designed the digestive tract of this cat. See this cat here? Come here, Duke. Yeah, come here. You're the subject. Perfect. Remember last khutbah I told you to touch your ear and see how the design is of your ear, and then in there's the inner ear and the eardrum. What is this design? You know, who designed this for the best audio reception? Now look at the cat's ears. How they're designed. And if you make noise back here, do you see the ear? And if you're familiar with horses, the same thing. The ears go like this. If the sound is coming from the front, but if you make noise back there, one ear goes like that. Right? And if it's the noise is overwhelming from the back, both of them will go. So, right. So this is God's creation, the design. So God said, I'm going to create the human being. Let's concentrate on the human being. And I'm going to give him a mouth to eat with. Now, for the food, is going to, what is the food going to be? It's going to be lettuce and carrots and meat, eggs and potatoes. So how will you eat the carrots? You have to have cutters. See the front teeth? Who designed that? It's the 4 top ones and the 4 lower ones. They're cutters. They cut. And you see how they're designed like scissors? We don't have anybody with overbite or underbite. You know, we're a perfect group, alhamdulillah. This is what I meant today in the khutbah, by the way. You know, I came to, in the khutbah today, I came to the brink of saying, alhamdulillah, I mean, we have to thank God first, that we're all perfect. And I hesitated and I didn't come out with it, but I don't say why not. You look around, you don't see anybody with one arm, you know, or anything like that. Not that it is bad. So, there is something to it. But when God promises those who worship Him alone,